Segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. We're real big on community policing. Let me tell you, Jewish Chicago is going to be coming out before the, right before the start of early voting. It'll be available free on your newsstand. And of course, we'll have the most complete judicial review in town, and we urge you to check it out. It is a pleasure to introduce you to somebody who's running for appellate court judge, who's a present sitting judge. And I'm going to let him tell you about himself. That is Judge Patrick Sherlock. How are you?
I'm great. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. And where are you presently sitting?
I'm sitting right now in the Daly Center in the Judgment Enforcement's courtroom, courtroom 1401.
And what is judgment enforcements?
Judgment enforcements means that there's already been a judgment entered in favor of the plaintiff in most cases, although it could be a defendant if there was a counterclaim. And they're coming before me in order to try to collect their money or get something of value in order to satisfy the money judgment that they've already obtained.
So yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier, and you said court advocacy doesn't really work in that case.
Well, we were talking about court watchers, and the court watchers aren't really all that interested in watching people have to give away money or not be able to collect money. They're generally more interested in victims' rights, which is, in many cases, more important.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, having had a business and still, in theory, being in business in this wonderful economy, you know what? When I see what people owe me, I have to question, like, how far am I going to go with this? Am I going to take somebody to court over this amount of money? What's the lawyer going to cost me if there's a lawyer? So what would be like the smallest amount you might see, and what might be the biggest amount you might see?
You'd be amazed at how small the amounts are that I see sometimes. $100 or $200, or even less in some cases, where there's been an ongoing collection effort and maybe the creditor is down to his last $50 or $60. So I've seen things as small as that come across my desk. And at the high end, we have seen hundreds of thousands of dollars and even into the millions of dollars in our courtroom. And that obviously is a much more complex collection effort than it is to try to collect a $1,000 or a $2,000 credit card judgment.
And actually, depending on because I've known some pretty broke people, the $100 can be rough too.
The $100 can be rough, but if people are aware of their rights, and many aren't, there are a lot of exemptions that can keep that $100 in the pocket of the debtor so that he or she can afford to pay a gas bill or a light bill or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. Now, are you seeing a rise in cases in this economy right now?
When I first started, Mike Hyman, Judge Hyman, I know you're familiar with him.
Right, he's been on the show, and we've endorsed him, yeah.
He and I were working together, and when he and I began, he tells me that the caseload in that courtroom was about 130,000 cases a year.
Wow.
Right now, we're pushing 200,000 cases a year, so the caseload has increased by about 50%. And most of it attributable to the poor performance in the economy over the last several years.
Now, how many judges for those 200,000 cases?
2. Yeah, 2.
How can you even read the briefs?
Well, in all fairness, people do not get a lot of time to talk in our courtroom for obvious reasons, but there's also not a lot to say. If the money is owed and the money is there, the money will get turned over. The more complex issues, and this is why we have 2, and it's nice, because the judge on the bench can handle the more routine things. The judge who happens to be sitting in the chambers in the back will handle the more complicated issues, the issues that are fully briefed, and can devote more time to those issues.
I mean, how many cases might you hear in a day?
I've been doing a speaking thing in connection with my appellate court run, and I checked one day.
Yeah.
And it was a day that was, because I had finished the call that day, it wasn't a particularly heavy day, 515 cases that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And not a heavy day. That's worse than traffic courts.
There are days at our 11 o'clock court call where we'll have 600 wage garnishment cases that are potentially there to be called. Now, not all 600 will show up, but for example, just yesterday, we probably had 100 people show up to have their cases called during that 1 hour time frame between 11 and 12.
Wow.
Yeah, so you get a lot of exposure to a lot of people in a lot of different financial circumstances, and their cases arise out of any number of types of cases. We get domestic relations cases, we get credit card cases, we get fraud cases. I mean, they run the gamut of any type of thing that could result in a judgment could come to us.
Wow. So that's quite a variety, no question about it. Now, what made you decide you wanted to be an appellate court judge?
One of the things that I do, because I'm post-judgment and because people ask me to do certain things in connection with the collection of judgments, is I have the opportunity to look and see what has happened in order to get to the judgment. Now, I can't reverse someone's decision one way or the other. That's not my function. But I get to perform that review. And in performing that review, I will from time to time see errors. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the review process. And of course, the natural job for someone who enjoys the review process is on the Court of Review, the Illinois Appellate Court.
Oh, that would make sense, and there's a lot of openings this year.
There are 5 openings this year, which, based on my sort of short-term review, is more than there have been in any recent memory.
Now, my understanding is there's, 24 judges total on the appellate court?
24 judges on the appellate court, correct, and 5 are being elected. So you're talking about roughly 20% of the court being turned over this time.
Right, and that's quite a bit. That's definitely quite a bit.
It's unprecedented. It really is. And, you know, what you want from an appellate court judge is someone who has the experience to review any number of cases, because the appellate court hears criminal cases, they hear domestic relation cases, they hear probate cases, they hear chancery cases, they hear law cases, they hear small claims, they hear significant claims. And throughout my judicial career and my legal career, those are the kind of cases that I've handled.
You know, tell us something about your background.
Okay. I grew up here in Chicago. I went to Holy Cross High School. And from there, I went to Quincy College, which is in west central Illinois, right on the river, where the hump of Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri.
I've actually heard of it.
Okay.
Mark, down a football team.
Yeah, it's right by Mark Twain's hometown of Hannibal, Missouri. And from there, I went on to the University of Illinois Law School. After that, I worked for a plaintiff securities law firm here in Chicago, Beagle and Sandler. Probably at the time one of the country's largest plaintiff-oriented securities class action law firms. I worked there for several years, and then I went off and formed my own firm, the law office of Pat Sherlock. And I was there for 13 years. And as an attorney, I did, and as a solo practitioner, I did practically everything. I've handled environmental cases. I've handled lead paint poisoning cases. I've handled securities fraud cases, shareholder derivative cases, things that most ordinary lawyers don't handle. I had a very eclectic type of practice. And then in 2007, I was appointed by the Supreme Court to become a judge. I was elected in 2008, and I've been a judge for almost the past 5 years.
Very cool. So I take it you enjoy it if you want to move up the ladder.
You know, being a judge is one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. Every day you get to see people, and obviously some people are happy, some people are sad, their decision doesn't go their way, but you get a real sense of bringing closure to an issue. And you can see, even on the people who come away on the losing end of the stick, a lot of times they're happy to have the issue decided. And there's a sense of accomplishment for me as a judge having that happen in my courtroom.
Very good. If people would like to contact you?
I can be reached at www.judgesherlock.com.
JudgeSherlock.com. And good luck on the campaign trail. Yeah, I guess being a South Sider, this is a schlep, as we say.
It is a schlep. It's a long way up the Dan Ryan, then up Lakeshore Drive and over here, but it's well worth it.
Well, we appreciate so much your coming here, and thank you very much, and good luck in the election.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.